Hi all, good evening and good morning. Uh, Welcome to the day 2 session on manual testing as well as live project. Hope my audio is good for all of you. And any question or any problem, just let us know. All right. Are you able to see the screen as well, right? Okay. All right. 1 second, please. Okay. So in today's session, right, we will be primarily focusing on. Okay. Okay. Is it visible now? Okay. Much better. Yes. Okay. Now, just for the starters, right? Again, we just want to reiterate. So, any project will have a formation phase, then the requirement analysis, then the design, and then the construction, or what do you do? How do you develop the project? And the testing phase, then the product release phase, and post-implementation activities will be there. Now, our primary focus is this particular area. Now, in the earlier stages, right, uh, the testing phase was just included only after the construction phase. But after a lot of defects that are found in the later stage of the testing, they started analyzing what exactly is going wrong. That's where the need of writing test cases, sorry, the need of test metrics came into picture. Okay, the reason being, right, you found a bug, okay, and then you started saying that, hey, uh, I found this bug in this particular requirement. Now what is happening? I have to raise a defect to the developer, and developer will look into the defect and he will come back stating that, hey, this is not a bug at all. Now there are two scenarios for it. One, it may be a bug or it may not be a bug, or a defect, say suppose defect, or may not be a defect. If it was not a defect, then it's well and fine. Shadab, this is Mahesh, not Kartik. Okay. Okay. 1 second, please. Okay. So, if it is a defect, now they have to do the root cause analysis for it, right? So what they will say, hey, they'll go and see the requirement first. Okay, requirement is correct. Now they will see where it went wrong. Okay. Now while doing this, they will fix it. But from the product standpoint, right? Why did that happen? And people know the requirement and they have done it wrong. What is the problem? The problem can be developer may not know what is the requirement exactly, because he or she may be going in his own way of understanding the requirement. Okay. All right. The second thing can be his understanding, or his or the developer has a limitation in developing that particular piece of code which he or may not be knowing about it. Okay, which means at the point of doing the project, he or she, or I mean the developer may not be knowing how exactly the limitation is going to happen on that particular requirement. It can be a tool level limitation, or it can be a what do you say, the product level limitation also. That particular thing, or that particular what do you say, requirement may not happen at all. Okay, a simple example is if I just want to make it clear. Say suppose in Gmail login page, okay, I want reset password link. Okay, now the requirement is for every 2-3 attempts I should get an invalid what is it, the account should be logged, and an OTP is, or one time transaction password is sent to your mobile in order to reset your password or unlock your password. Now the database limitation is it can handle a requirement once in 5 minutes. That's it. If you generate multiple passwords in that particular 5 minutes, the same OTP will be sent to you. So that's the tool level limitation, say suppose. But developer has created his code such that even in that 5 minute span, he can create multiple passwords. But from database perspective, it is not viable, right? This the UI developer is not aware, right? In such situations, who will be acting as a bridge between the database developer and the UI developer? Someone should be there, right? That's where the product manager comes into picture, ideally. Now from testing perspective, someone who knows entirely about the product will be coming into the picture. Now in order to have all these and someone who is having a knowledge about the entire system, what should be done? So the solution for it is maintaining a test case repository, identifying the integration things. Integration is happening between UI and the database, right, here in this case. So identifying the integration test cases, creating some sort of bridge. So that is where the need of metrics came into picture. Okay. Now what all goes into the metrics are multiple things. It can be a requirement traceability matrix. Traceability matrix is the first and foremost thing. It can be on requirements. It can be on test cases. It can be on defects as well. Okay. So this is how the need of metrics has come into picture. Okay. Now what all that will be covered, all these will be covered as part of this training. Okay. So what is the audio pin? 1 second please, there's a question. Ramesh is asking for an audio pin. 1 second Ramesh, others please let us. Ramesh, you might have received an this thing, right? Mail from iTeLearn. It has the pin. Can you please check it? Alright. Okay, so coming back, so these metrics are the basics which will help us in tracking the entire project. So as part of this training, right, we'll have a detailed discussion on it. Okay. So far, any questions, please? So on a high level, right, what all will happen in this matrix is you will get the number of test cases, how many are executed in each phase, okay, how many passed, how many failed, how many are in the investigation, and how many have created a blockers. Okay. Now, how will this help is what do you say? Will define the flow of the project. In the sense, if you have a complete picture on this, you can give an estimation how many more hours are required for testing this, or how many more hours are required for needed for extending because of any blocker. Okay, this is a quantitative or scientific way of doing the test execution. All right. This is not Selenium class. This is a manual testing class. Okay. All right. Okay, as in there's a question here. As a fresher, do we need to do metrics? You may or may not be doing this, but from an experienced person's perspective, yes, we have to do the test metrics. Okay, but on a simpler level, right? There is this traceability matrix requirement, traceability matrix. What this will do is you actually split your master requirement into bits and pieces. Okay. Now, when you start writing your test cases, right, you will write based on these split requirements. So, say suppose R, the master requirement is R. R is split into R1, R2, R3, R4. Now, when you start writing your test cases, right, you will make sure you wrote all the test cases for R1 and then R2 and R3, R4. Okay, so that way you will make sure that you wrote all the test cases. Now, how will it help is in the above example, right? So R1 is for UI. Say suppose this is for UI and this is for database. Okay, say suppose. Now, when you write your integration level test cases, right, you will look into both the R1 and R2 test cases and come to a conclusion what all will go under the integration. What all test cases will be under integration. Now, this will be simpler if you are the lone tester handling this entire requirement. Say suppose there are multiple testers in this particular project and UI is handled by someone else and database is handled by someone else. Now, how will you make sure when you are testing both either of the requirements, whether say suppose UI tester is testing only UI, but he has to make sure the data that is coming from database is also correct, right? So how will he be able to know it? He will be able to know only after seeing the requirements of the database, right? So because of this traceability matrix, it would be easy for us to identify the integration test cases in this case. Okay. So as a tester, as an entry level tester, right, this is the first and foremost thing you will be handling. Okay. Okay, Farah is asking if an interviewer asks me about the SDLC phase, I will talk about initiate. Yes, initiate define. This is more on the development life cycle actually. Okay, SDLC is a part of SDLC. Alright. So if someone asks, yes, we have to tell this. Okay. Okay. Where does automation fit in the STLC process? Okay. This is the trickiest part. See, if you see, this is more on SDLC. The other day I showed you the STLC, right? From test case requirement in analysis, test case preparation, test case authoring, test data preparation, test case execution. Now, once you have done a single level of manual testing, then you will have a clear understanding about the application. Then you will start your automation testing. We will not just jump start into any project without doing, we will not jump start into any automation project without knowing the manual testing. Okay. The other question is, do we have test metrics for automation also? Yes, we will have the same level of test metrics for automation also. Okay. Keep there also you have automation level requirements, right? They may or may not be similar to the actual requirements, which means if it is a performance automation, it may be not be the functional requirement. It is not a functional requirement here. It is a performance requirement. So there will be metrics like what is the throughput, how much time it is taking to load. So these are not functional requirements. Here it is non-functional requirements. Okay. Now you will write your test cases for this also, non-functional requirement, saying that if 100 users are logging into the application, how much time it is taking to fetch the records, or what is the page load time. Okay. So these are all your non-functional requirements. You will write your test cases based on that, and then you will make sure whether these are automated or not. Okay. So you will have the same level of metrics for both automation and manual. It looks a bit different. That's it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. There's a question on the mobile level test. See, even in mobile application testing also, see, it's not quite different to the web application. But mobile is altogether a different thing. Say suppose you have kernels concept in mobiles, but it is not the same in web application, right? So how it interacts is different. See, here the condition is whether it's an Android application, it's whether it's an Android mobile, it's an iPhone, iOS, or it's a Windows-based mobile app. So different OS will what do you say will react in a different way. But whereas in a web application, right, the browser is simple. So the browser can be an IE or Mozilla or an Chrome. So this acts as a client between the web application server and what the users are intended to what do you say use that particular application. But whereas in mobile, it's altogether a different thing. That's the reason we say mobile application testing is a different thing. But 90% of it is similar as the general web application, because the flow will be the same, right? Unless and until you shrink the some of the contents in that particular application. Simple example is Gmail. You have a login page in the web application which looks different, whereas in the mobile it looks different, right? So that's the only difference in the function level testing. That all depends on the client or the one who is developing that particular web that particular application. Okay, how it looks in the web mobile, how it looks on the web. Okay. Okay. So the other question is, how will we handle this in the testing? See, uh, any project is not a simple one. In the sense, you will have multiple testers, okay, who will be handling the various area of the project. So someone can be a database tester, someone can be pure manual or functional tester who will handle only the web application, and then someone can be on ETL level and someone can be on the mobile, right? But all of them are testing the same application. Okay, now that's the reason we are saying that we need a metrics in order to handle all this. So when I'm testing some web application, there's a need of database here, right? When I'm testing a mobile application, there's obvious need of there's a interlink or interdependency on the database, right? So I write my only mobile level test cases or the front end what I may see, but obviously there's a need of database here, and whatever database tester is doing, we may not do completely that level testing. Database tester will look into the tables, but whereas in mobile testing, right, you are testing your front end and the data retrieval, right? So when I'm retrieving the data, which means it is coming from the tables, right? So I'll use few test cases which the manual tester already has written on the database level, but not all, because table level testing will be altogether different. Say suppose what are the columns that are going to it, what is the data type, what is the max length. That level of testing database tester will do. But from mobile testing or functional level testing, I will make sure whatever is the front end data or the columns that is shown in the front end, the respective data is present in a table in the database. So when I fetch the data in the front end, whether it is hitting the table in the database and getting it or not, only that level of testing I will do from the front end or the manual function level. Okay, so I may not use all the test cases written by database. So how will you make sure that? That's again you will what do you say, map your requirements and test cases, and using the traceability matrix or metrics, whatever other metrics are there, you will come to a conclusion. Okay. Alright. At this point, it may be confusing, but for just for the clarification on a high level, understand this that whatever you write, you need to document them and then put them in a common place where someone who is having a complete knowledge on the system can make a decision and come and give you a suggestion that, hey, use these test cases a part of your actual testing. Okay, because these are integrated to the other applications in this project. Got it? Any questions? In manual testing language, scope and requirements are same. No, they are not the same. Scope is something which will define what can be tested or what will go as part of the requirement. Okay, scope may change from release to release. Say suppose the master requirement is, let's take Gmail application itself. The master requirement is, I want a login URL for Gmail and then a login page for it. Once I give a valid login, I will be able to go into the landing page. If it is an invalid login page, I'll be having an error message shown. Now this is the requirement. For first release, I will create a URL. For second release, I'll create the login page. Now in the first release, my scope is only the URL. One second please. But for second release, it's login page. Now I have the requirement. But for first release, my requirement is not the login page. It is out of scope. What is in scope is the URL. Is it clear for a? Okay. Kumar, which is the easiest QA field to study to get into IT? Mm, that depends. That depends on individual to individual. But if you go by the market demand, automation is in demand. So anything, it's very easy to learn automation and ETL testing. Okay, which are in much demand now. Manual testing is simple. You will not get paid jobs. I mean the level of getting into IT field will be less. We will have an offline discussion on this, Kumar. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. There's another question on this. If you are if you are into maintenance project, how will I make sure all these documents are there? Okay. So that's the most trickiest part here, right? So as we said earlier, that is where the test management tool comes into picture. Okay. So whatever the earlier tester or test manager has done, everything will be documented and they will be placed in the test management pool. It can be HP, ALM, OATS, okay, or any other tool, Jira, Bugzilla, etc., etc. Right? So they will place there and you will look into them. Okay. How will you make sure our requirements are covered in our test cases? That's the reason, right? We are using this requirement traceability matrix. So I have split the master requirement into sub requirements R1, R2, R3, so on. Okay. Now when I start writing my test cases, I will write completely for R1. Okay. When you create your test cases, right? Okay, let's jump into it. An actual test cases will have test case ID, name, description, area of it, and the requirement name. Okay, here you will write R1. If you write your test cases in R1, then you will write for R2, R3, so on. Now when I want to see how many test cases I have written for R1, I will filter on this particular column and will know whether I have written test cases for R1, R2, R3. So you have to map your requirements prior or well before you start writing your test cases. Got it? As a newcomer, how soon can we learn automation? Is it better to start? See, ideally we suggest to start with manual testing and then you can go for automation testing. Manual testing will take 15 minutes, 15 days of time, and then you can jump start into automation. Okay, or you can do it parallelly if you are able to handle both of it. But a clear way of doing things is learn manual testing and then go for automation. Okay, basics are the root. These are the roots, right? No, so basic is manual testing and then the automation. Okay, as far as job is concerned, automation is is in much demand these days, right? Even in manual testing also you have many niche areas like ETL testing is there, you have web services testing, okay, and then mobile testing these days. Or if you are good in any of the domain like banking or financial services or insurance or automobile or even the logistics domain also. So if you are good in any of the domain, you are good and enough. Yes, especially in finance field, if you are into compliance, FATCA is something which is in much demand these days because anti-money laundering and the FATCA is the compliance between the countries. So these two are on compliance level are much demand in the market. Yes, you can club your domain level knowledge with the manual testing concepts, and you can push your resume on that also. Okay. Okay. The actual project starts from Monday. Okay, and let me share you the schedule as well. I will share you the schedule. Okay, I'll send out an email. But it will continue till 29th of this month. Okay. Uh, Based on your experience, Divya, you can continue on the same financial project domain itself. But on compliance part, right? Put more emphasis on your resume, stating that I am well versed with these complaints, or say suppose as I said, FATCA or anti-money laundering, any of it. Okay, put more emphasis on it and say that I got some certification on it. You can you can go ahead with that way. Okay, Kumar is asking, for Selenium automation tester, do I need to learn VB, Java? What exactly Java? What else required? Okay, it can be any of the coding language. So if you are comfortable on basic Java, that's more than enough. Okay, or on the C sharp is also one of the language that we use in Selenium automation. Okay, so it all depends on your comfort level, Kumar. Okay, but we suggest these days C sharp plus Selenium is in much demand. Okay. So any other questions? Okay, I worked for some time as a manual tester, but I took a break. Okay, Mangala is okay. See, if you are already into manual tester, uh, this particular project will help you. This particular training will help you. Apart from that, automation is needed actually. Okay, so if you are well versed with manual testing, you take a call. Okay, this training is about pure manual training as well as the live project. Is it easy to get into testing without having software knowledge? Yes, it's very, I mean, anything is easy unless and until you put an effort on it. Okay. This particular training will help you in getting that particular confidence that you are ready for testing. Okay. From the manual testing perspective. Bipla, you want to ask a question? I see your hands raised. See, any project, right? If you start analyzing the overall system, so what is the front end? What is the database? What is the back end for it? How are the servers connecting? What is the relationship between the front end and back end? Okay, how are they interacting? What is the mode of communication? Okay, so if you start analyzing the entire system, you will become a better manual tester because you know the areas how the system is interacting, right? So you will write more test cases, more the test cases, more the logical test cases, the effective the testing will be. Okay, so you need to have a basic understanding about all these concepts in the software. See, pure functional tester will do only the say suppose front end level testing itself. So what will he test? The screen level, the screen whatever is shown he will test. But if you understand how different browsers react, what are the limitations of the browsers, then you will write test cases based on, hey, if this application is working on IE, how is it reacting, whether it is as per the requirement. If it is on Chrome, if it is on Mozilla, how is it reacting? Okay, Chrome stores all the passwords. Okay, so how is the security level? What is the security level? How good is it, the application on the security front, right? So that level of understanding you will be knowing if you know how a browser works also, right? Now when I'm saying Chrome stores a password, right? It is there's a lot of cookies going into it. Because of having heavy cookies, the browser will become very heavy and the page load time will be slow, right? Whereas in IE and Mozilla, it will be a little bit faster. Now because of this, you can do your performance level testing also, and you can give your suggestions or improvement techniques to the people, right? So that's how you will become an effective manual tester. Got it? That's the reason we need to have a little bit basic knowledge on software components. Duration of this project is 15 days for manual testing and 15 days for the light project. The batch is starting from 19th. Review. Does domain knowledge affects ability of getting into job? Like, is it true you get job more recent time than given resources? Okay, it's just a myth actually in the sense, see, HCM is an Oracle application which is new into the market, right? Human capital management. So if you are a human resource expert, okay, and then you know something about the HCM application, then you are in much demand because HCM is a hot cake that is now in the market. Now, if you are into finance and you know something on the compliance part, if you are certified into it, then you are a hard, you are good at it. But it all depends on the location or area where you are put into, okay, and how good you are projecting your resume. So domain matters actually, but 90% it will fetch you or it will give boost to your resume. Okay, so finance you will have a lot of projects in the market. Human resources you will have little projects, but in order to have in order to showcase more on it, you need to know new technologies or new tools that are into the market in your respective area. Okay, so domain matters, but then it all depends on how good you are projecting in your resume. See, it's like this, as simple as this. You have thousands of jobs in finance market, and you got hundreds of jobs in human resources level projects. Now, if your resume is good in that HR area, it's well enough. It's good enough, right? You can get job easily. But competing on thousands of people in HR area is a tedious task. But whereas in finance, you got thousands of jobs, there are thousands of people. It's like 1:1 or 1:10, something like that. Okay. Yes, we will be helping you on preparing the resume. But this is an off. This is we'll discuss it offline. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So So we have already said that we'll be using Interact application, right? So that is more on the live project front. Okay. So once you are well versed with manual testing concept, we will start on the live project. So for first 10-15 days, it's more manual testing. Okay. Okay. Farah is asking QA testers perform functional and non-functional testing. Yes, they perform both functional and as well as non-functional testing also. Non-functional testing more on the quality assurance part, like whether this particular requirement is as per the standards or not. Okay, there are some standards which define the web application, or some standards which define the database, or some standards which define the ETL application, or some standards on the performance part. So these are all non-functional areas. Okay, so QA testers perform both functional as well as non-tester. But see, entry level, right, you will be more on functional part. A little bit will be on the non-functional. But going forward, with the experience increases, having a knowledge on both is required. Okay. Hope it answered your question. All right. So any other questions, please? Okay. So how will we do this function live project is based on the count people joining from Monday, right? We will divide them into groups. Okay. And then once the requirement phase is completed, we will start on requirements of Interact. Okay. And you start doing your requirement analysis and post your questions. So like that for each phase, based on your group, you will do the respective tasks and we will review them. So that's how it goes. So from live project perspective, it is you who will be driving the project. From live training perspective, I will be driving the project. I'll be driving it. Okay. uh, in company duration of work. It all depends on the requirement actually. If it is a small requirement, 15, 30 days. If it's a huge requirement, there are projects where it goes for 3-4 years also. Okay, it all depends on the requirement. But usually any project will take at least 1 to 2 years, which are divided into small pieces. Alright? Yes, usually at least 1 year will be there. Okay. See again, a project can be defined like a project that is starting from scratch and a project which is already under maintenance, which is it has already went to live. There are few changes in the application, so that is called as a maintenance project. And something which is developed from scratch is it altogether a different project. So a scratch project may take some 2-3 years to come into life, or it may take 1 year to come into life. But on an average, it will take 1 year of time to come to life. A maintenance project, it can be a 3 months project, it can be 6 months project, because it's just a simple change or a complex change that is required, right? So based on the changes, the duration changes. So from 19th it is manual. Automation already has started actually. Automation started yesterday. The course content is pasted in the website. You can please look into it. Automation, how many weeks it takes to build a framework. Understanding the flow, understanding the system will take at least 1 to 2 weeks, and then developing a framework at least another 2 3 weeks. Okay, just giving the uh, uh, just the framework itself will take at least 1 month of time. Karthik will be the best person to answer it. So if you can join the session after this, uh, he will be giving a big picture on it. All right. Any other questions, please? Uh, Divya, you can join by logging to the website of ours and then follow the simple steps which are mentioned there. So you can join for both automation as well as manual. Okay. In case if you still have a doubt, right, just mail me. My team will get back to you. Okay. All right then. Uh, so we are done for today. I see no more questions. Okay. We will see you back on Monday. All right. All right. We will be meeting back on Monday again. Okay. 19th. Sorry, 18th. Okay. Yeah. All right then. Thanks again. Thanks all for joining the session. Good night and good day.